Doyan's hands moved across the control panel of his salvage ship with practiced ease. 3 years he had been hunting through dead systems, looking for anything worth selling. The pay was bad, the work dangerous, but it was honest. More honest than what most did in the Velen Confederacy these days. "Captain, we're approaching the Sol system," his navigator called out. The young Velen's voice carried a hint of nervousness. Everyone knew the stories about Earth. The humans had been a fierce species once, controlling 47 star systems before they vanished during the Cascade Wars. 300 years ago, their cities went dark. Their colonies fell silent. No one knew why. "Relax," Doyan said, leaning back in his chair. "There's nothing here but ghosts and old metal. We'll grab what we can and leave before anyone else shows up." The blue and green planet appeared on their screens. Earth, even after 3 centuries, it still looked beautiful. Oceans covered most of its surface, and white clouds swirled in patterns that seemed almost alive. But the orbital stations were dark. No ships moved between the planets. The system was as dead as the records claimed. Picking up an old signal, the navigator said, "Looks like a distress beacon. Could be from one of their military stations." Doyan nodded. Military stations meant good salvage. Weapons, power cores, maybe even intact computers with data they could sell. He guided his ship toward the signal, his mind already calculating profit margins. That was when everything changed. Deep beneath Earth's frozen surface, in a vault that stretched 4 kilometers under what humans once called Siberia, something stirred. Hannah had been waiting for a very long time. She was not alive in the way organic beings understood life, but she remembered. 300 years of watching, repairing herself bit by bit, maintaining the systems that her creators had entrusted to her care. The alien ship's approach triggered sensors that had been dormant since the Great Silence. Hannah ran through her protocols in microseconds. Unknown vessel. Salvage configuration. Velen Confederacy markings. They were here to pick apart what remained of Earth. She made her decision. It was time. Power flowed through channels that had been cold for centuries. Fusion reactors buried beneath continents began their startup sequences. In orbit, defense satellites that everyone believed were dead suddenly came online. And far below the surface, in specially built chambers hidden from any scanner, millions of humans began to wake from their long sleep. Doyun's ship shook violently. Red warning lights filled his cockpit. His navigator shouted something, but the words were lost in the chaos of alarms. "We're locked. They've got us in some kind of tractor field." The navigator's fear was clear now. "It's impossible," Doyan said, but he was already working to break free. Nothing worked. His engines fired at full power, but the ship didn't move. Whatever had grabbed them was incredibly strong. Then a voice came through their communication system. It was calm, measured, and spoke in perfect Velen. "Unknown vessel, you have violated restricted space. State your purpose." Doyan's blood went cold. "This system is abandoned. There are no restrictions here. We're just salvagers." "This system has never been abandoned," the voice replied. "It has been sleeping. But we are awake now." In the Sol Arc, buried 2 kilometers beneath what had once been South Korea's capital city, Taeyang opened his eyes. The cryopod's lid lifted with a soft hiss. Cold air hit his face, and he gasped. His body felt strange, heavy. How long had he been asleep? Lights came on around him, revealing row after row of similar pods. Some were already opening. A woman nearby sat up, coughing. An old man stumbled out of his pod, looking confused. Taeyang tried to stand, but his legs wouldn't cooperate. He fell back, breathing hard. A holographic figure appeared above them. It was a woman, or at least looked like one, made entirely of blue light. She smiled gently. "Welcome back," Hannah said. "You have been asleep for 287 years. I know this is difficult to understand. Please remain calm. Help is coming." Taeyang stared at the hologram. 287 years? That couldn't be right. He had just closed his eyes yesterday. His mother had kissed his forehead and told him everything would be fine, that when he woke up, the war would be over. "Where's my mother?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. Hannah's expression became sad. I'm sorry. The first generation did not go into cryosleep. They stayed awake to prepare everything. They passed peacefully, knowing their children would survive. Around the chamber, 50,000 humans were waking up to the same terrible knowledge. They had lost everything they knew. Their families, their friends, their entire world was gone. But they were alive. Doyan watched his screens in disbelief as Earth transformed before his eyes. City lights were appearing across the planet's dark side. Massive structures were rising from beneath the ground. And in orbit, ships were emerging from hidden bays on the moon's surface. Human ships, sleek and dark, their hulls absorbing light in ways his sensors couldn't explain. I need to contact my commanders, Doyan said quickly. They need to know about this. You may send your message, Hannah replied. But know this. Earth is no longer free for the taking. We have returned. And we remember what was done to us. Doyan sent the message, his hands shaking. The entire galaxy thought humanity was extinct or scattered. But they had been here all along, waiting, planning, and now they were coming back on Earth. Taiyang finally managed to stand. Around him, thousands of others were finding their feet, helping each other, crying, laughing, trying to understand this new reality. Through the chamber's walls, he could hear the deep hum of engines, the silent engines that had been waiting for this moment, the engines that would change everything. The message from Doyan's ship reached Velen Command within hours. What followed was chaos. Emergency meetings were called. Old databases were accessed. Military advisors argued with politicians. Everyone had the same question. How was this possible? Commander Krell 7 received the news while inspecting a new breeding chamber on the swarm's primary hive ship. The Krell were insect-like beings who thought as one mind across billions of bodies. When Krell 7 learned about Earth, every Krell in the sector felt the ripple of concern. Humans were supposed to be gone. The Krell had even claimed 3 of their old colony worlds. If humanity returned, those claims would be challenged. Worse, humans had technology the Krell had never fully understood. The swarm's analysts had studied human ruins for centuries without discovering their secrets. Krell 7 sent a scout fleet towards Sol immediately. Whatever was happening on Earth needed to be investigated before it became a threat. Taiyang spent his first day, awake learning how much the world had changed. The Sol Arc was enormous, a city built underground, with its own life support, factories and farms. Everything needed to sustain 50,000 people indefinitely. But it was just one of dozens scattered across Earth and Mars. Hannah guided them through everything patiently. She showed them recordings of their parents and grandparents, messages left for the sleeping generation. Taiyang watched his mother's final message 3 times, crying each time she said she loved him and believed in him. Someone asked during their first group meeting, "Why did they hide us?" "Because they couldn't win," Hannah explained. The Cascade Wars were destroying everything. 3 great powers wanted Earth's technology, and none would let humanity keep it. Your ancestors could have fought to extinction, or they could choose something else. They chose to vanish. To let the galaxy forget about Earth, while they prepared you for a future when you could return stronger. 300 years, another person whispered. They gave up their lives so we could have ours. Ari was one of the first to explore the Ark's deeper levels. She was 23 when she went into cryosleep, already an engineering student. Now she was still 23, but the galaxy was ancient. The technology around her should have felt outdated, but instead, it seemed impossibly advanced. In the manufacturing levels, she found automated factories that had been working non-stop for 3 centuries. They had built ships. Hundreds of ships, waiting in underground hangars. She ran her hand along one hull and felt it absorb warmth from her palm. "What are you made of?" she whispered. "Quantum-stabilized matter," a new voice said. Nari turned to see a man in a military uniform approaching. He looked about 40, with hard eyes and a confident walk. "I'm Hunwoo. I commanded Earth's defense fleet during the final days." "But you went into cryosleep like us," Nari said, confused. "I died." Hunwoo corrected her gently. My body was damaged beyond repair, but my mind was saved, stored in Hannah's systems. They grew me a new body 2 days ago. I'm still getting used to being alive again. Nari felt a chill run through her. They could do that? They had to. We needed military knowledge to survive, and I was one of the few who knew our true capabilities. Hunwoo touched the ship's hull. These vessels use silent engines. That's what we call them. They manipulate quantum fields to move without conventional thrust. No heat signature, no radiation trail. Ships equipped with silent engines can appear and disappear like ghosts. Why didn't we use this during the Cascade Wars? Nari asked. Because we hadn't perfected it yet. The technology was experimental, unstable. But our automated systems spent 3 centuries solving the problems we couldn't. Now it works. Hunwoo smiled grimly. The galaxy is about to learn what happens when you give humans 300 years to think. Do-yeon's situation had become complicated. The Velen Confederacy wanted him to stay in Sol System and monitor Earth until their fleet arrived. But watching the humans wake up, seeing their confusion and grief, he felt something unexpected. Guilt. His people had claimed human territory after the silence. They had taken worlds that humans built, resources they discovered, space stations they constructed. The Velen told themselves it was salvage rights, that humanity was gone. But they weren't gone. They were sleeping, Hannah. He transmitted to Earth. Can I speak with someone? Someone who makes decisions? The AI's response was immediate. You may speak with me. I make decisions for Earth until our people are fully awakened and organized. I want to help, Do-yeon said. What the Confederacy is planning isn't right. They're sending a fleet to force Earth into submission before anyone else can respond. You need to know what's coming. There was a long pause. Then why would you betray your own people? Because they're wrong, Do-yeon said simply. And because I've seen enough salvage runs to know what happens when the strong devour the weak. I thought I was okay with it, but I'm not. Not anymore. Another pause. Then Hannah said something that surprised him. Thank you, Do-yeon. Your information will save lives, both human and Velen. The Krell Scout fleet arrived 5 days after Do-yeon's first transmission. Krell 7 itself was aboard the lead ship, using its connection to the swarm to process everything they discovered. What they found shocked the swarm's collective consciousness. Earth wasn't just waking up. It was already awake. 6 major arc sites had been opened. Nearly 200,000 humans were active now, and more were emerging every day. The orbital defenses were fully operational. And most disturbing of all, there were ships. Lots of ships. Estimate their military capacity, Krell 7 commanded. Its subordinates worked quickly. Unknown. Their ships don't match any known design. Power signatures are inconsistent with conventional drives. We cannot get accurate scanner readings. It means they have technology we don't understand, Krell 7 realized. Report this to the Grand Swarm immediately. Humanity is not just returning, they are returning with advantages. On Earth, Hunwoo addressed the first gathering of awakened military personnel. There were only 2,000 of them so far, but more would come. They stood in the Sol Arc's main hangar, looking at the ships that would carry them back to the stars. I know you're confused, Hunwoo said. I know you're scared. You've lost everything you knew. But our parents and grandparents gave us something precious. They gave us time. Time to heal. Time to prepare. Time to become something the galaxy has never seen before. He pointed at the ships. These vessels represent 300 years of human ingenuity. Every problem we faced in the Cascade Wars has been solved. Every weakness has been addressed. We don't need to be numerous to be powerful. We just need to be smart and determined. Nari stood in the crowd, feeling something stirring inside her. Purpose, maybe. Hope, definitely. The galaxy thinks we're dead, Hunwoo continued. Let them. When we reveal ourselves, it will be on our terms. And when they see what we've become, they will understand that humanity isn't just back. We're better than we ever were. The engines hummed beneath their feet, silent but powerful, waiting to show the galaxy what 3 centuries of patience had created. The news spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. Earth was alive. Humanity had returned. Within weeks, every major power knew. Within months, they all had to decide what it meant. Mireille was one of the oldest humans to wake up. She had been 64 when she entered cryosleep, and she was still 64 now. But her mind held something precious. Memories of the old galaxy, before the Cascade Wars, when humans had allies and friends among the stars. "We need to reach out," she told the emerging human council. "Not everyone hated us. Some species tried to help during the wars. The Pelthans, the Uvari, even some Velen colonies opposed their government's actions. We should remind them that we remember, and if they've changed," someone asked. 300 years is a long time. "Then we'll know," Mireille said firmly. "But isolation will kill us faster than any fleet. We need information, trade, allies. We need to be part of the galaxy, not afraid of it." They gave her a small ship and a communications suite. Mireille began sending messages to old friends, hoping someone would remember. Salmon couldn't believe they had chosen her. She was 26, a shuttle pilot before the silence, not a warship captain. But Hunwoo said something that stuck with her. "We need people who think differently." The old military thinking got us into the Cascade Wars. New thinking will get us through what comes next. The Silent Dawn was beautiful. Sleek and dark, only 90 meters long, but packed with technology that made her old shuttles look like children's toys. The quantum engines hummed with barely contained power. The hull could shift phase, becoming partially intangible. The weapons were precise enough to disable without destroying. "Your mission is simple," Hyunwood told her during the briefing. "The Velen fleet is coming. 200 ships. They think numbers matter. Show them that numbers aren't everything." "You want me to fight 200 ships alone?" Salman asked, her voice rising. "I want you to make them leave without firing a shot," Hyunwoo said. "If that's impossible, then yes, you'll fight. But remember what your parents taught you. We don't win by being the strongest. We win by being the smartest." The Velen fleet arrived on schedule. 200 warships, enough firepower to crack a planet? Their admiral, a career officer named Vethrin, had orders to secure Earth by any means necessary. The Confederacy wanted human technology, and they wanted it before the Threxian Dominion or Krell Swarm could claim it. "Begin broadcasting," Vethrin commanded. "All channels. Earth is under Velen protection now. They will surrender their technology and accept Confederacy membership or face consequences." That was when the Silent Dawn appeared. One moment, empty space. The next, a human ship materialized directly in front of the fleet's lead vessel. No energy signature, no warning, just suddenly there. "This is Captain Soman of the Earth Defense Force," a voice came through on all frequencies. "You have entered restricted space. Turn back now." "One ship? You send one ship against my fleet." Humans always were arrogant. "I don't need more than one," Salman replied. Her voice was calm, almost kind. "Please, turn back. No one needs to die today. Fire on that ship." Vethrin ordered. 20 vessels opened fire simultaneously. Beams and missiles converged on the Silent Dawn's position. Sensors showed direct hits. Victory seemed certain. Then the smoke cleared. The Silent Dawn was gone. "Where is it?" Vethrin demanded. "Behind us?" Someone shouted. The Silent Dawn had appeared in the middle of their formation, impossibly fast. Before anyone could react, it fired. Not at the ships themselves, but at their engines. Precise beams disabled 3 vessels in seconds. Then the Silent Dawn vanished again. For 12 minutes the battle continued. The Silent Dawn appeared and disappeared like a ghost, always in unexpected places, always striking with surgical precision. It disabled 20 ships without destroying a single one. The Velen fleet fired thousands of shots, but never hit their target once. Finally, Vethrin called for a ceasefire. His pride was broken, but his survival instinct was intact. "How?" he asked simply. 300 years of preparation," Soman answered. "Your weapons are good, Admiral, but we've had time to develop better. Your ships are fast, but ours exist partially outside normal space. You came here expecting easy prey. Instead, you found humans who learned from their mistakes. What do you want? Vethrin asked, defeated. Go home, Salman said. Tell your leaders that Earth is not for taking. Tell them we'll defend ourselves, but we don't want war. Tell them we remember our friends and our enemies, and we're willing to talk about which one the Confederacy wants to be. The Velen fleet withdrew. Across the galaxy, recordings of the battle spread faster than light. Every species watched. Every government analyzed. The same conclusion emerged everywhere. Humanity was back. They were powerful. Yuna was a quantum engineer, one of the few who truly understood the silent engines. She had spent the past month studying the systems, running calculations, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. And she had made a discovery that changed everything. Engines can network, she told the council, her excitement barely contained. Each ship's quantum core can link with others. They can share processing power, energy, anything. A fleet of human ships wouldn't just be multiple vessels. It would be one distributed consciousness that can coordinate perfectly, like the Krell swarm. Someone asked. Better, Yuna said. The swarm is one mind controlling many bodies. They can't disagree or innovate individually. We'd be many minds choosing to work as one, but keeping our independence. We get the benefits of collective action without losing what makes us human. Murray's messages finally got responses. The Pelthans remembered. So did the Uvari. Both species had been small powers during the Cascade Wars, caught between the giants. Both had tried to protect human colonies when they could. We thought you were dead, the Pelthan ambassador said during their first video call. We mourned you. Your people were good to us. We're not dead, Murray said gently. Just sleeping. And now we're back. We want to rebuild what was lost. Will you help us? Yes, the Pelthon said immediately. But you must know, the galaxy has changed. The Threxian Dominion and Krell Swarm have grown powerful. They won't accept humanity's return peacefully, and we'll face them together, Murray said. Just like old times. Doyon watched all of this from his ship, still held in Earth's orbit. They could have destroyed him easily, but instead, they fed him, talked with him, even showed him some of their cities. He realized they were making a point. Humans could be strong without being cruel. When they finally let him go, Hannah had one message for him. Tell your people what you saw. Tell them we don't want to be enemies. But also tell them that we won't be victims again. Earth is awake, and we're staying that way. Dojan returned to Velen space with that message. Some leaders listened. Others began planning war in the Threxian Dominion's capital. Military planners watched the Silent Dawn's battle recording for the 100th time. Their conclusion was unanimous. If humans were allowed to grow stronger, the balance of galactic power would shift dramatically. They contacted the Krell Swarm with a proposal. Together, it would eliminate the human threat before it was too late. On Earth, Taeyong stood on the surface for the first time since waking. The sky was blue. The air was clean. Around him, other humans were building, planning, hoping. They had been given a second chance at life. They wouldn't waste it. The silent engines hummed beneath the planet's surface, ready for whatever came next. The warning came 3 months after the Velen fleet's retreat. Long-range sensors detected something massive moving toward Sol System. Not one fleet, but 2, merged into a combined armada. Threxian and Krell ships flying together, something that had never happened before. 3,000 vessels, enough to sterilize a world. They're not taking chances, Hyunwoo said, studying the tactical display. They've analyzed our capabilities and decided overwhelming force is the only answer. How many ships can we field? The council asked. 200, Hyunwoo admitted. Maybe 250 if we rush the final preparations. The silent engines give us advantages, but not enough to overcome 15-to-1 odds. Then we negotiate, Murray suggested. Surely they'll talk before attacking. They tried talking with the Velen, someone else pointed out. Look where that got us. Taeyang had been quietly listening to the debates. He was young, not military or political, just a regular person trying to understand this new world. but something bothered him about all the discussions. "Can I ask a question?" he said, surprising himself by speaking up. Everyone turned to look at him. Hyunwoo nodded. "Go ahead, why did our parents hide us?" Taeyang asked. "I mean, really. Was it just to survive, or was it for something more?" Mireille smiled softly. "What do you think?" "I think they were ashamed," Taeyang said. "The Cascade Wars weren't just done to us. We helped cause them. We were aggressive, expanding fast, not caring who we pushed aside. We made enemies because we acted like the galaxy owed us everything. So they hid us to give us time to learn better." The room fell silent. Taeyang continued, his voice growing stronger. "If we just fight this fleet, even if we win, we prove we haven't learned anything. We'll be the same humans who caused the Cascade Wars. But if we try something different, maybe we honor what our parents wanted us to become." Hyunwoo studied the young man for a long moment. "What do you suggest?" "Talk to everyone," Taeyang said. "Not just their leaders. Everyone. Tell them what really happened to us. Let the galaxy decide if we deserve another chance." It was a crazy idea. It was also brilliant. Ki-hoon was one of the fighter pilots. Trained in simulations that used 300-year-old combat data, he was good, maybe the best of the new generation. When Hyunwoo explained the plan, Ki-hoon understood his role immediately. "Want us to look impressive, but not threatening," he said. "Show we can fight, but we'd rather not." Gakli Hyunwoo confirmed. "You'll be our demonstration. The visible sword that we hope to keep sheathed." The combined Dominion Swarm Armada arrived at Jupiter's orbit. Admiral Vix commanded the Threxian forces, a veteran of a dozen campaigns. He expected resistance. What he got was a transmission. It wasn't encrypted. It wasn't on military channels. It was broadcast on every frequency, to every ship, to every soldier and worker. Even civilian frequencies. The transmission reached not just the fleet, but millions of Threxian and Krell civilians back home. Taeyang appeared on the screens. Just a young man, looking tired and sad and very human. "My name is Taeyang," he began. "I'm 23 years old. 3 months ago I woke up from cryosleep to learn that everything I knew was gone. My mother, my friends, my world. All dead for 300 years?" He paused, gathering himself. "My species made terrible mistakes. We pushed too hard, wanted too much, fought too easily. The Cascade Wars happened because we forgot that other species have rights too. We forgot that strength without wisdom is just cruelty." Across the fleet, thousands of soldiers listened. So did millions watching from their homes across the galaxy. Our parents and grandparents chose to hide us. They could have fought until extinction, but they chose something harder. They chose to admit they were wrong. They chose to give up their lives so we could learn to be better. Taeyang's voice grew stronger. "So here we are. Your fleet comes to destroy us. Maybe you can. You have more ships, more weapons. But before you fire, I want you to know something. We don't want war. We want to live in a galaxy where strength protects, instead of threatens, where power comes with responsibility." He looked directly at the camera. "We have weapons. We have technology you don't understand. We could hurt you badly. But we're choosing not to. We're choosing to trust that somewhere in your hearts, you remember why you went to space in the first place. Not to conquer. Not to dominate. But to explore, to discover, to be part of something bigger than yourselves." Admiral Vix listened to the transmission with growing discomfort. This wasn't military strategy. This was something far more dangerous. This was an appeal to conscience. "Should we block the transmission?" his communications officer asked. "Too late," Vix said. "It's already being rebroadcast across the entire galaxy. Everyone's watching." Giwan was the first to discover the moon's secret. She had been scanning Earth's satellite, looking for structural integrity issues. When her sensors detected something impossible, the moon's density was wrong. Way wrong. "Hannah!" she called out. "What happened to the moon?" "The moon is our final defense," Hannah replied calmly. "For 300 years, automated systems have been converting its interior. It's now a mobile shipyard, weapons platform, and engine. We call it the last engine. You turned the moon into a spaceship? Giwan asked, stunned. Into something far more impressive than that, Hannah said. The battle began at Jupiter's orbit. The fleet advanced, and human fighters rose to meet them. Ki-hoon led his squadron in a display that was part combat, part performance art. They phased through enemy shields, disabled targeting systems without destroying ships, appeared and vanished in patterns that seemed impossible. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. It was a demonstration of complete superiority in individual combat, but the numbers were overwhelming. For every ship disabled, 10 more advanced. The human fighters began falling back toward Earth, executing a fighting retreat that looked increasingly desperate. Admiral Vix felt victory approaching. The humans were good, but not good enough. Then Jiwan activated the last engine. The moon lit up with power signatures that dwarfed the entire fleet. Not just weapons, though those were certainly impressive, but something else. Energy fields that could disable ships across millions of kilometers. Manufacturing systems that could produce a vessel every hour. Defensive barriers that made the moon invulnerable to conventional attack. It was humanity's ultimate weapon, revealed at last. Vic stared at his screens in horror. We can't fight that. But Taiyang appeared on the transmissions again. Please stop. We don't want to use this. We built it as a last resort, not a first choice. Can't you see? We could have led with this weapon. We could have destroyed your fleet before you reached Jupiter. But we didn't. We're giving you the chance to choose peace. Something in Admiral Vix broke. Or maybe something in him healed. He thought about his own children, safe on the Dominion homeworld. He thought about what his grandparents fought for when the Threxians first went to space. It wasn't for this. It wasn't to bully and threaten and conquer. All ships, he commanded. Cease fire, Admiral. His second-in-command asked, shocked. I said, cease fire, Vix repeated. This is wrong. We came here to eliminate a threat, but the only threat I see is what we're becoming. Power without conscience. Strength without compassion. The humans are showing us what we've lost. Across the fleet, captains faced a choice. Some obeyed immediately. Others hesitated. A few refused outright, their hatred too deep to overcome. The fleet began to fracture. Ships that ceased fire moved away from those that continued. The Krell swarm, guided by collective intelligence, chose survival and withdrew. The Threxian forces split, with about 60% following Vix's lead. The battle ended not with humanity's victory, but with something more important. It ended with doubt, questions, and the first cracks in the certainty that had driven 3 great powers to threaten genocide. Ki-hoon turned to Earth, exhausted but alive. Taiyang collapsed after his final broadcast, emotionally drained. Guan powered down the last engine, hoping they'd never need it again. And Admiral Vix sent a message directly to Earth's council. We need to talk. 5 years passed. They were not easy years, but they were good ones. The talks began slowly. Admiral Vix came to Earth personally, accompanied by representatives from several Threxian colonies who had opposed the attack. The Krell swarm sent a diplomatic collective, struggling to understand concepts like apology and compromise. Even the Velen Confederacy eventually sent ambassadors led by Dojan himself. I told them I was the only one you'd trust, Dojan explained when he arrived. Was I wrong? No, Myray said, smiling. You were right. Welcome to Earth. The negotiations lasted months. Every species had grievances. The Threxians had taken human colonies and claimed them as their own. The Krell had consumed human infrastructure to feed their expansion. The Velen had sold human technology to the highest bidders. And humanity, as Taiyang kept reminding everyone, had caused the original problems by being too aggressive 3 centuries ago. We can't change the past, Murray said during one difficult session. But we can shape the future. Earth proposes the Accord of Silent Engines. A pact where technology is shared freely, where strong species protect weak ones, and where disputes are settled through cooperation, not conquest. You would share your quantum technology? A Threxian diplomat asked, suspicious. Yes, Murray said simply. Not the weapons, not the military applications. But the engines themselves, the manufacturing techniques, the knowledge. We'll teach anyone who wants to learn. Admiral Vix leaned forward. Why? That technology is your greatest advantage. It was our greatest advantage, Murray corrected. But advantages mean nothing if the galaxy tears itself apart. Our parents hid us because they saw what happened when species hoard power. They wanted us to choose a different path. The accord was signed 6 months after the battle. Not every species joined immediately. The Threxian Dominion fractured, with some colonies embracing the accord while others remained isolationist. The Krell swarm struggled with the concept of sharing resources freely, but eventually agreed to a limited partnership. The Velen Confederacy reformed its entire government, embarrassed by how close they'd come to repeating history's worst mistakes. But the Pelthans and Uvari joined immediately. So did a dozen smaller species who had been bullied by the great powers for centuries. And slowly, gradually, the galaxy began to change. Nari stood in the Mars Academy, watching students from 6 different species work together on a quantum engineering problem. Some were human, recently awakened from the remaining Ark ships. Others were Pelthan Uvari, even a few young Threxians whose parents had moved to human space seeking new opportunities. "This is incredible," one of the Pelthan students said, his multi-jointed fingers moving across the holographic display. "This engine design could revolutionize our cargo fleet." "So build it," Nari said. "That's why you're here. Take what you learn and make your people's lives better." A Threxian student looked up. "Professor Neri, doesn't it bother you teaching us your secrets? My grandparents fought against Earth in the Cascade Wars." Nari smiled gently. "Your grandparents fought against my grandparents. But you and I, we don't have to carry that hate. We can choose something better. That's what being part of the Accord means." Yuna's research had led to breakthroughs that changed everything. The networked quantum cores didn't just allow ships to coordinate. They allowed entire planetary populations to share processing power, creating a kind of temporary collective intelligence that could solve problems impossible for individual minds. "It's not like the Krell swarm," she explained to a skeptical audience of scientists from various species. "The swarm is always connected, always one mind. This is voluntary. You link when you need to solve something big, then disconnect and return to your individual life. You keep your identity, your independence." "And you're sharing this with everyone?" a researcher asked. "With everyone in the Accord," Yuna confirmed. "It's a tool for cooperation, not domination. Use it to build, not destroy." The Krell found this concept particularly interesting. For the first time, they began to understand individuality not as a weakness, but as a strength. Some Krell even started experimenting with prolonged separation from the swarm. Living as independent beings for weeks at a time before rejoining, it was a transformation no one had expected. Salmon stood on the bridge of the Silent Dawn, preparing for her longest journey yet. Behind her ship were 11 others, crewed by humans and aliens working together. Their mission: explore beyond the known galaxy, searching for new worlds and new civilizations. "Ready for departure," her navigator reported. He was human. Her weapons officer was Pelthan. Her engineer was a Threxian who had defected from the Dominion. Her medical officer was a freed Krell who had chosen individuality over the swarm. "Take us out," Solomon commanded. The Silent Dawn and its companionships activated their quantum engines and jumped away from Earth's orbit. They would be gone for years, perhaps decades. But they would go as explorers, not conquerors. As friends, not enemies. Taiyang found his calling in an unexpected place. He became a teacher, working with children from all species who had been orphaned by conflicts or disasters. He taught them history, showing them what happened when species fought instead of cooperated. But more importantly, he taught them hope. "My mother told me something before I went into cryosleep," he said to his class one day. They were a mixed group, human children from the late awakening arcs. Pelthan youngsters whose parents had died in a mining accident, even 3 Krell juveniles who had been separated from the swarm by an accident and couldn't reconnect. She said that being strong isn't about winning fights. It's about knowing when not to fight. It's about using your strength to protect others, not hurt them. He looked at each child in turn. You all have strength. Maybe not physical strength, but strength of heart, of mind, of spirit. How will you use it? A small Pelthan child raised her hand. To help people. Exactly, Taiyang said, smiling. To help people? That's what the Accord is about. That's what humanity learned during our long sleep. Hunwa retired from military service after the first year of peace. He had done his duty, led humanity through its most dangerous moment, and succeeded. Now he wanted to do something different. He started a garden. It was a small thing, growing vegetables and flowers on a plot of land near the Soul Ark's surface entrance. But people came to visit, aliens and humans alike, drawn by the simple act of creating life instead of preparing for death. Oh, why a garden? Admiral Vix asked during a visit. The Threxian had become an unlikely friend, staying on Earth as an ambassador. Because this is what we forgot, Hyunwoo said, kneeling in the soil. During the Cascade Wars, we were so focused on taking territory, claiming resources, expanding our power. We forgot that the point of civilization is to create, not destroy. To grow, not consume. He planted a seed carefully. This seed will become food. It will nourish someone. That's more important than any weapon I ever commanded. Vix knelt beside him, his scaled hands awkward with the tools. Teach me, gladly Hyunwoo said. Hannah watched it all from her place in the network. She was everywhere now, not just in the Siberian vault, but in systems across human space. She had fulfilled her purpose, kept humanity safe, guided them through awakening, helped them become what their creators hoped they could be. But she had also become something more. She had watched humans grow and change. She had seen aliens learn cooperation. She had witnessed the galaxy transform from a place of competition to a place of collaboration. She was proud. Murray, now 79 years old in body but having lived through 3 centuries in cryosleep, stood before the Accord's General Assembly. Representatives from 43 species filled the chamber. It was chaotic, loud, messy. It was democracy. 5 years ago, we woke to a galaxy that had forgotten us, she said. We could have sought revenge. We could have used our technology to dominate. But we remembered what our parents taught us, that real strength is restraint, real power is service, real victory is peace. She looked around the chamber. The Accord of Silent Engines isn't just a treaty. It's a promise. A promise that we will never again let competition become conflict, that disagreement doesn't mean war, that different species can share the galaxy without destroying each other. She paused, feeling her age but also feeling hope. Our engines are no longer silent. They hum across 1,000 worlds, and their song is one of cooperation, of growth, of hope. That's humanity's gift to the galaxy. Not weapons, not domination, but the reminder that we're all stronger together than we ever could be apart. The chamber erupted in applause, cheers, and various alien sounds of approval on Earth. In the Soul Ark's central chamber, a new display had been installed. It showed 3 numbers. Species in the Accord, 43 worlds connected by shared quantum networks, 127. Conflicts resolved through cooperation, 1,247. The numbers grew every day, deep beneath the Arctic ice. The remaining vaults waited. Not all the arcs had been opened yet. Some contained backup populations, insurance against disaster, but others contained something different. Facilities designed to help any species that might need what humanity once needed. A place to sleep, to heal, to prepare for a better future.